Virginia, Mr. Good, for 30 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Second Amendment in our Constitution is the amendment that guarantees or ensures all the other freedoms that we hold dear in this country. The right to defend oneself is a God-given right, but we are unique among the nations of the world, that right is protected for us and enshrined in our Constitution based on the wisdom of the founders. There's a mechanism for changing the Constitution, but it's difficult. And yet what this body wants to do is to find ways to do what the Constitution clearly says, which is that the Congress has absolutely no constitutional authority to restrict the rights of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. I'm going to read a few quotes from the founders from about 250 years ago. Alexander Hamilton said, and the reason why we go back to the founders is to understand what they intended with the Constitution. We have the Federalist Papers, of course, and then other writings by the founders. Alexander Hamilton said, "The best we can hope for concerning the people at large is that they be properly armed." Samuel Adams said, "The Constitution shall never be construed to authorize Congress to infringe or to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms." James Madison, the first congressman from my 5th district and our 4th president, said, "The Constitution preserves the advantage of being armed, which Americans possess over the people of almost every other nation," still true today, "where the governments are afraid to trust the people with arms." Noah Webster said, "Before a standing army can rule, the people must be disarmed, as they are in almost every kingdom in Europe. A military force at the command of Congress can execute no laws but such as the people perceive to be just and constitutional, for they will possess the power to resist the execution of a law which appears to them unjust and oppressive." Thomas Jefferson, from my home district in Virginia, from where the gentleman from Texas went to school, said, "What country can preserve its liberties if its rulers are not warned from time to time that their people preserve the spirit of resistance, let them take arms?" Thomas Jefferson also said, "No free man shall ever be debarred the use of arms." Back to James Madison, "The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. A well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people trained to arms is the best and most natural defense of a free country." George Mason said that to disarm the people, that was the best and most effectual way to enslave them. Patrick Henry said, "Are we at last brought to such humiliating and debasing degradation that we cannot be trusted with arms for our defense? If our defense be the real object of having those arms, in whose hands can they be trusted with more propriety or equal safety to us as in our own hands?" Samuel Adams said that the Constitution shall never be construed to authorize Congress to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms. Thomas Paine, "Arms discourage and keep the invader and the plunderer in awe, and preserve order in the world. Horrid mischief would ensue were the law-abiding deprived of the use of them." Patrick Henry also said, "Where and when did freedom exist? When the sword and the purse were given up from the people." We're doing that right here in this body. We're taking the sword and the purse away from the people. He said, "Unless a miracle in human affairs interposed, no nation ever retained its liberty after the loss of the sword and the purse. The great object is that every man be armed. Everyone who is able may have a gun." And final quote from Thomas Jefferson. And then I'll defer to the gentleman from South Carolina. "Laws that forbid the carrying of arms disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage